Hello everybody, I'm back with another update. Now you may notice that the picture quality in this video is a little different than before. That's because I'm currently using my iPod Touch camera instead of my flip video camera. Now the reason I'm using my iPod camera is because, well, to start off, I think that it captures my voice better than the flip camera, and also with the flip camera, if you zoomed in on text, it just looked all blurry and you couldn't read it at all. But look, when I zoom in on text with the iPod Touch camera, you can actually read that, a Martin Rosen film. So from now on, I'm going to try to do updates with the iPod camera, but I'm still going to use the flip camera to record video games and other updates. But sadly, however, my iPod camera doesn't have an as good battery life as my flip camera does. The battery life on my iPod Touch isn't that good, but I don't blame it actually. I have all these apps, these movies, and all this music on my iPod. I don't blame my iPod for dying so quickly. Well, it doesn't die out that quickly. I mean, usually when I get through school, a school day, which is about 7 hours, it will run out, probably because I use it a whole lot. But, yeah, so here's the actual update. I got 3 DVDs, and they were practically giving these away on Amazon.com. Each of these DVDs were only, I don't know, like $6. I think 2 of them were $5, and another one was $6. But they all have something in common. They're both of these DVDs are released by Warner Brothers, and they're all non-Disney animated movies, and these are 3 of my favorite animated movies ever, and they're all non-Disney. I'm going to talk about these in chronological order, starting with Watership Down. This is an adaptation of a bestseller released by Puffin Publishers. Puffin released Watership Down when Richard Adams brought his novel to the publishing company, and Richard Adams had to go through, I think, 13 other publishing companies before Penguin Books finally published Watership Down. So it quickly became a bestseller, and 6 years later, in 1978, there was a movie adaptation. Now, don't let the first words out of my mouth about this movie distract you. Watership Down is an animated film about rabbits, so you may be thinking, oh, this must be a cutesy-wootsy, innocent, fluffy film about rabbits. There's going to be a lot of jokes. It's going to be so child-friendly. It's going to be so tame. Usually a lot of children grow up with Bugs Bunny. This may be the same. Well, no. And I know that there are probably a lot more movies out there that are more disturbing than Watership Down, but so far, this is the most disturbing film I've ever seen in my life. Why is there disturbing? Because all throughout the movie, many rabbits get killed, whether it's by suffocating as their burrows get filled, getting killed by dogs, getting shot, getting picked up by owls. There's even, at the end, there's like this huge brawl with General Woundwort and General Bigwig. They're getting into this huge fight at the end, and it's so graphic. They're scratching, they're biting each other, and you actually see blood. Heck, rabbits even get their ears chewed off in this film, and you actually see it. It's a really disturbing animated film. But just because it's disturbing doesn't mean it's bad, because I think that this is a very impressive movie. I don't know if this is gaining in popularity because it was a huge hit when it came out, but I think that this should get more popularity, and I don't know if it is or not, but this should be recognized as a great classic, a great animated classic from the 70s. The anthropomorphism in this movie is very well executed. The plot's kind of simple. A warren of rabbits have to escape from their doom warren because the runt of the litter, Pfeiffer, imagines the field covered in blood. So there's this runt rabbit who predicts that their entire warren is going to be destroyed and all the rabbits are going to get killed, so they have to leave and reach a peaceful meadow that Pfeiffer talks about. Pfeiffer's accompanied by Hazel, the main character. Pfeiffer is Hazel's brother. Hazel is voiced by John Hurt, and I bet a lot of you have heard about him, but John Hurt is one of the most skilled and talented actors ever. Seriously, he's one of the most impressive actors I've ever seen. And in the 70s and 80s, he was actually big in voice acting for animated films. So he's Hazel in this movie. He was also King Aragorn in Ralph Bakshi's adaptation of Lord of the Rings. He was the Horn King in the Black Cauldron, and coincidentally, a movie based off of another Richard Adams film, he was in The Plague Dogs. But so far, this is one of. I think this is his. I think Watership Down is his second best. Acting film. I think. I think the best John Hurts did, as far as I've seen, was The Horn King, because the Horn King is pretty much my favorite Disney villain ever, but he's also pretty good in this movie. Now, although there's a lot of death and a lot of killing in this movie, it still has a bright, optimistic message. It's about pursuing your dedication. You can't lose hope. You're going to have to go through all of this trouble. You're going to have to go through all these trials, but you should never give up. You must always look to the future, and you can only imagine what you will achieve if you go through all of this trouble. And it turns out for a lot of these rabbits, a lot of them just end up getting killed, but at the end, I would say the ending is fairly a happy ending, but, one of the rabbits dies peacefully and asleep, but the ending was beautiful, I thought. The ending actually made me cry. Art Garfunkel, how do you pronounce his name? Art Garfunkel. Yeah, Art Garfunkel sung Bright Eyes in this movie. Bright Eyes is this movie's song, and I actually think it's a good song. I even have it on my iPod. The animation's also impressive, combining watercolor with ink. This is just a really, really, really good film. But if you're a parent, do not show this film to your children. Trust me, do not show them to your children. There's all this death. It's incredibly dark. There's blood all over the place. There's a lot of acid-filled trips. It's crazy. But if you're a teenager or an adult, you should definitely check out this film. It's a beautiful and well done film. Also, it also has a great poetic line at the beginning and end of the film. All the world will be your enemy, prince with 1,000 enemies, and whenever they catch you, they will kill you. But first they must catch you. Digger, runner, listener, prince with the swift warning. Be cunning and full of tricks, and your people will never be destroyed. That I just thought was simply beautiful, and although this movie is very disturbing, it's a very beautiful and just, majestic animated film. Check this out. Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Now, I may go into more depth in this film if I talk about all of the Batman films that I've seen, but I'm gonna say it right here, right now. I think Batman Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie ever made. It's a movie based off the animated series, which is already a great idea. Batman the Animated Series was one of the best things Batman ever did. Every episode had its own individual plot, which stood out from all the other episodes. All of the plots were pretty good, so making an entire feature-length movie based off the animated series sounds pretty good, and in this film it definitely shows. Kevin Conroy, of course, returns as Batman. The Joker's also in this movie, again, voiced by Mark Hamill, because, if you have an animated Joker, it just has to be Mark Hamill. Also, I like Dana Delaney in this film as Andrea Beaumont, because one of the most interesting things about this movie is that a lot of it centers on flashbacks to Bruce's past, and Bruce Wayne actually almost had a normal life before he became Batman, but something went wrong at the last moment, and then he well, I can't really describe this movie in great depth, because it's just something you have to see to believe. Like the animated Batman, it's grim, it's dark, but at the same time, it's just so cool. And also, it has one of the most overlooked twists in cinematic history when you actually find out who the Phantasm is. the main plot basically is Batman is being framed for murdering different mob leaders by the main villain, the Phantasm. So Batman has to figure out who the Phantasm is, and when you do, it's a pretty good twist. So you should definitely see this movie. It's a great Batman film. Sadly, it's not too popular, but it should be, because this is fantastic. And last but not least, The Iron Giant. Now, of all the DVDs I got in this pack, The Iron Giant I think is actually, of all of the movies in these 3 DVDs, The Iron Giant is the only one in which I actually saw it, because I saw this movie a lot when I was a kid. Seriously, I thought this movie was fantastic. Just saying what makes this movie so great, again, like Mask of the Phantasm, it's a little hard to say, but one of the things that I can say is the fact that already the premise is kind of simpler. You know, a young kid named Hogarth befriends this giant robot from outer space, but it's a lot more clever than you think. I like the when there is music, it's good, and when there's not music, it builds up a lot of atmosphere to this setting in the 1950s. The animation's absolutely fantastic. The voice acting's good. I always loved Dean in this movie. Dean, I thought, was my favorite character from The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant himself is voiced by Vin Diesel, and I always thought he was one of the best characters in any anime movie I've ever seen. You know, I am not a gun, and the ending made me cry. Seriously, the ending in this movie is so beautiful, but it will make if you plan to show this to your children, the ending will make them cry. The ending will make them cry. If you have a child, you should definitely let them see this movie. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, this movie is pretty good. I watched it a lot when I was a kid, like at least, I don't know, 50 times to be honest. I still have the original VHS tape, but I got it on DVD, and apparently this is the special edition. I hope they didn't go, I hope whoever released this DVD, Warner Brothers, I hope they didn't go into the movie and, messed around with it too much if it is a special edition, but, well, maybe that's just for the bonus features, because the way I saw The Iron Giant, it's fine. Don't alter anything if this is a special edition. Just keep it as the way it is, because this is a classic. It's only a matter of time, I think, before The Iron Giant becomes well known as an animated classic. You should definitely check this one out. So that's my DVD update. I'll use my iPod camera to record other DVD updates in the future, and I'll see y'all later.